Hi, everyone. Okay, so there's not a big lecture today. You're not going to get a bunch of vocabulary words, but I do want to introduce the film that you're going to have to watch, just like I would if we were in the class together. I want to explain why I assigned it and also give any necessary trigger warnings. So you're going to be watching Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. This was a movie that came out in 1980, and it's starring Jack Nicholson, who you may be familiar with in his younger years. And Stanley Kubrick is what, we would call from our last lecture, one of these great auteurs of film. He is very well known for a number of movies. You may have heard of some like 2001 Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, um, Eyes Wide Shut. I bet you haven't. I don't know. Maybe you have. Uh, he has a number of very famous films under his belt, and he is very well known for being a very, very hands-on director with a lot of attention to detail. Some might even call him a little bit anal retentive. But the idea is that nothing ends up in a Stanley Kubrick film by accident. And I'm bringing that up because there are a lot of things that if you pay very close attention to this film, that it may seem like there are problems with continuity in different areas, but everything is deliberate, and that's a very Kubrickian way. This movie originally was based on a novel written by Stephen King. I believe it was actually the first novel that Stephen King ever had adapted into a film. And you can read about this in all different types of places. Stephen King notoriously hates the film. He did not like this adaptation, even though this adaptation, although it did not get great critical acclaim at the beginning, it's definitely on like all the top 100 lists as one of the greatest films ever made. But it also really revolutionized the horror genre. In fact, there's a lot of things when I first assigned this film, I was afraid that some of my students wouldn't be able to appreciate it because they would think that it was like too cliche. But I was like, oh, but a lot of the cliches that you see in different brands of horror were originally from The Shining, right? The Shining kind of started a lot of conventions that we currently see recycled in a lot of the horror that we consume. Um, Anyway, Stephen King was not happy with how the film was adapted, and I believe that was largely because of how Jack, who is the main antagonist, if you will, was portrayed. In the novel, he's portrayed as, a person who did some bad things but was struggling with ghosts, and this depiction, I think you'll see that he was kind of always, always, always a jerk. And I bring that up not as a spoiler. I don't think it's really spoiling anything, but it's something I want you to think about a little bit in terms of, well, how does Kubrick wanting Jack to be sort of inherently bad, unlike how Stephen King conceptualized the character. How do you think that factors into whatever messages the film's trying to convey? Um, Now, as for the spoiler alerts, if you're not a horror fan, I'm sympathetic. But again, this is a masterpiece. But I do want you to know that it's not a horror film. It's not really a slasher film. I know that's hard to believe because all of the marketing here is with somebody with an axe, and it's true. There is at the end a very violent scene. But it's not really I don't actually classify it as it really gory film. And luckily you are watching this on your own, so if something does strike you and make you really uncomfortable, then of course you're free to stop watching it. So I just wanted you to know there's definitely violence here, and violence is something that Kubrick addresses in various ways in all of his work. I think he's just very interested in the topic of violence and what is violent. Um, So, but I don't, this isn't, I'm trying to think of, this isn't like a Saw movie or anything like that. So I wouldn't worry about that. It's a very atmospheric movie. A lot of what makes it frightening is things that we've been talking about in terms of mise-en-scène. It's things like what the cinematography is doing. It's things like what the music sounds like. It's things, um, like expressions on the characters. It's all these little nuances that sort of like build up into a very uh, an overall experience, if you will. And that is a lot of what Kubrick's movies are. It's really about trying to have people have an experience instead of just watch a film. So I do hope you enjoy it. And even if you don't enjoy it, I hope you appreciate it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking more about it in the next lecture, where I'll come back to some of the examples in this film when we talk about things like editing and things like that. So just please sit back and relax instead of listening to a lecture this time. Oh, but also don't forget your quiz. You still have to do a quiz on this. So, okay, sorry. I have to be a professor. Okay, bye.